Another week, another team, another iPad day. You guys missed the iPad with the Dodgers. You and Aram did it. You guys didn't get the scribblings of Jack McMullen last week, but now we do the San Diego Padres. And welcome to the Just Baseball Show. Today is Tuesday, January 18th. Jack McMullen, Peter Apple. You just started Succession.
The Roy family, huh? It's pretty good so far. You know, I tried Peaky Blinders. I remember the first episode, and I couldn't get into it because you know me. You got to hook me in from the first episode, or else I got baseball to watch. Like I gotta be tuned up. Succession tuned me right up. I'm really I'm on episode 4 right now.
The problem is there's no baseball to watch right now, so you got to find something to fill your time.
Not if I can watch Seiya Suzuki highlights.
Or do you like pin your mouth shut manually?
Exactly. Just
not talking.
That's the hottest the stove has been, and I'm all for it, but it's just still kind of boring.
Damn, man. So you're on Succession. I haven't watched Succession yet. I kind of started 2 shows at the same time. I'm about 2 years behind on Love is Blind, which is the one where they like communicate and get engaged without seeing each other. And I'm like, I'm watching it. It's like a 50-minute episode, and like 35 minutes into episode 1, we already have an engagement. Like this is moving way too quickly for me right now. It was like 6 days.
That sounds like a show I maybe could get into. You know, they get right to the point of the entire show, and then it's over.
I guess. I don't know. I am less enthused to keep going with that than Euphoria, which I also just started. I'm all in, like pushing all my chips into Euphoria right now.
That's just a show that I'm probably not going to start because I don't know how it relates to my high school experiences.
It's so fucked up.
Not that close.
It's so fucked up, dude. Like, I mean, oh my God. I got 1 episode in. I was like, what am I watching right now? And then I watched episode 2 and I was like, I can't wait to watch episode 3. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to catch up before episode 3 of season 2 comes out. I know episode 2 of season 2 just came out tonight. So I gotta finish season 1 off, which I'll hopefully do this week. And then I'll get into season 2, but we're going to talk about the San Diego Padres, who are on season 1 of being a legitimate contender. Like we thought season 1 was last year, and then they crashed and burned. And now they have to look at themselves in the mirror because you've got some expiring contracts here, and you've got some guys that are getting older. You also have 2 of the best position players on planet Earth at the peak of their powers right now. And one of them is only going to keep on getting better in Fernando Tatis Jr. It's a really interesting situation that AJ Preller has right now. And I think you and I disagree on how handcuffed he is.
No, I mean, I think we do, but we also don't. Like, I think maybe there are some specific moves that he could make, but I don't know if we're that far off. But when you mentioned crash and burn is certainly right. On August 11th, the Padres sat with a 67-50 record with a plus 102 run differential, just 3.5 games behind the Dodgers. From there, they went 12-33. Finishing with a 79-83 record, 11 games back of the wild card spot. And they certainly have some positives. Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado. I like their starting rotation, especially because they're getting back Mike Clevinger for 2022, which I'm very excited about. But Jack, I'd like to start with the number 14. Because the number 14, and I tweeted this out on my Twitter at PeterApple23, by the way.
Good plug.
Thank you. 14 was a number that, you know, I kind of came across, and I feel like 14 kind of describes the Padres season. They were the 14th best team in baseball. They were 14th in WRC plus as a team at 97. They were 14th in WAR. They were 14th in ERA. They were 14th in FIP, and they were 14th in total runs scored.
No
so how
way.
Do we get them? Yes,
no
they
way.
Were. Yes, they were. Why don't you check it? Why don't you check it?
Holy shit. I mean, that is so mediocre.
That's what I'm saying. So now how do we get them into the top 10? Because 14 is the magic number of 2021 for the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, shit. And like, I guess a lot of Padres fans would be saying health, but you look at the back end of the Padres. Yeah, they ran into some health problems here, and they didn't have some of their guys firing on all cylinders. And you could make the argument that Fernando Tatis Jr. wasn't healthy for the entirety of the year, and he still put up a top 5 MVP finish. Like, that's how good that guy is.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I think a lot of people on the outside, and I think some frustrated Padres fans, would say a lot more went into the downfall than just health. I think like personalities came to a head. There was some trouble in paradise at the end of the year, and you had some dugout arguments. You had some leaked stories. I mean, it's just like, it was like this thing that was too perfect to fail, and then it fails, and you see all of the chips in the armor there as they go 12-33 over that backstretch. They trade for Adam Frazier, and it doesn't work out one bit. Like, that was a disgusting deadline deal for them. They swapped Anderson Espinoza for Jake Marisnick, thinking they get a fourth outfielder, and Jake Marisnick can't do shit.
Yeah.
Like, there was nothing there. They picked up Jake Arrieta. They just tried to grasp at straws, and nothing worked.
Nothing worked. And when you said, with the dugout arguments, Manny Machado's name comes up. And Manny Machado is a guy who's he threw his bat at Matt Chapman over at third base. Or was it? No, it was Josh Donaldson over at third base. Manny Machado has had problems, but it almost felt like he turned the corner a little bit on that end, becoming that leader that the Padres really need. I think him calling out those teammates in the dugout was actually a good thing. It came at the right time during their season. Although the win total didn't reflect that, I actually liked what Manny Machado did, because in the past, you wouldn't expect Manny Machado to step up like that. And the Padres need him to.
The maturation of Manny Machado has been very fun to watch, because in Baltimore, he was the supremely talented guy who came on and was on a pretty successful team. That was when Chris Davis was as good as he was going to get. And Nick Markakis, I think, was still there. Adam Jones was still there. That Orioles offense was really fun. And then Baltimore started to suck. And Machado kind of adopted this prima donna type identity. And then he went to the Dodgers, and he totally leaned into the prima donna thing. And then he signed a massive, massive deal. And people said, okay, this guy is combustible. He's got the chance to just blow up, and this is going to hurt. He hasn't blown up in San Diego. And you're right. I think he's taking on some of that leadership onus that kind of was non-existent. I don't want to like totally downplay what Eric Hosmer is, but Hosmer doesn't back it up on the field anymore. There are some really serious problems here. And when I was going position by position on my handy dandy iPad here, I said, okay, like there are some positions where it's perfect, like borderline best in baseball in terms of depth and talent. And then you've got other positions that it's like, wow, you have 8 guys here and all 8 are C- D+ options.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's a team that is so star-studded. And when you look at the roster on paper, you almost think to yourself, they don't really need to do anything. But
do they? Right? Like,
but do they? Yeah.
You can stand and be complacent. Like, you actually have to make 0 moves and you'll still be favored to be a postseason team. Or you could make some moves and try and make yourself a World Series contender. But if you don't do any moves, you still have an outside shot of winning the World Series. Like, it is such a layered conversation, but that's the AJ Preller special. It's like, what's going on in your mind? You have the most top-heavy team in baseball, and you're just going to wheel and deal. Like, you're going to do shit that makes no sense to anybody, and you're probably going to miss a lot, but you're going to hit a couple of times.
This team, with the addition of Mike Clevinger, might have a top 5 starting rotation right now, just on paper. If we think about it, you have Yu Darvish, you have Blake Snell, you have Joe Musgrove, you have Mike Clevinger, Chris Paddock, and Ryan Weathers.
You're forgetting about Dinelson Lamet too.
I was almost thinking I wanted to have that conversation with you. Do you think that they're going to kind of limit his workload, maybe make him a reliever in 2022 instead of putting him in the rotation? I think Dinelson Lamet should be in this rotation. They have all these guys, and he's been the guy who just continually goes down due to troubles. I'm curious what your position is there.
Yeah, so Lamet's the 5 if he can stay on the field, but he can't stay on the field right now.
Lamet has the talent of like a 2. Like, he's electric. God, yeah.
He's electric.
But he can't stay healthy.
So
regardless, you have 7. I mean, dude, Ryan Weathers is a stud. We both think Chris Paddock is going to have a bounce back season after an ERA in the 5s, but a FIP below 4. This guy has good stuff. It's just about the fastball. Can he locate it enough? Can he miss bats with it? Because his off speed really is good. It's just that fastball that's so hittable, but you may not even need Chris Paddock when you have those 4 horses at the front. And then you have that combination of Weathers or Lamet.
yeah, I mean, you've got Snell, Darvish, Musgrove, Clevinger. That's your postseason rotation, and then fill in the 5. I don't care who throws once a week aside from those 4 guys.
Because I've had my problems with Yu Darvish, but if you put Yu Darvish as a 4, or you put Yu Darvish anywhere you want in this rotation, because Clevinger is so good, because Musgrove is so good, and I think the world of Blake Snell. If Yu Darvish is your 4, I'm like, well, Yu Darvish is kind of underrated now.
Yeah, I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, just looking at it 1 through 7 right now, Snell, Darvish, Musgrove, Clevinger, Paddock, Weathers is 6, Lamet can be 7, or you've got the wild card of all wild cards, Mackenzie Gore, right now.
Very true. And that's the conversation that is just impossible right now, because Mackenzie Gore was the unanimous number 1 pitching prospect going into this year. But we saw what happened in 2021, and you especially saw what happened in 2021 to Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah, so I watched Gore throw live. I called a start of Mackenzie Gore. It was a rehab appearance, but it wasn't really a rehab appearance. He started the year in AAA El Paso. He all of a sudden doesn't throw for 2 months. Mm-hmm. He then resurfaces in the Arizona Complex League, the ACL, not to be confused with the ligament in the knee. And he makes, I want to say, 3 starts there. He comes up to High A Fort Wayne. He makes a start at Great Lakes against the Dodgers affiliate. And then he goes up to Double A San Antonio. That's where he ended the year. So Mackenzie Gore, like he figured some stuff out. When we saw him, Gore did not have the leg kick. He just had a knee lift. That was it. He eliminated some of the complexities in his delivery. And what I saw was 94 to 95 for the fastball. I saw one of the best sliders I've ever seen, one of the best changeups I've ever seen. And then the Mackenzie Gore curveball, which is good, not great. It was really great when he was the Gatorade National Player of the Year coming out of high school in North Carolina. And then I think some hitters caught onto it, but the curveball is beautiful. It's looping. It's a lot like Liberator, where, I think it might be, it might be deceiving with how good it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's not his best pitch. The slider and the changeup are better than the curveball, but the slider changeup fastball combination is like, it creates a major league pitcher. It creates a major league 1 or 2. He just couldn't locate at points.
He reminds you of Clayton Kershaw until he doesn't.
Right. He reminds you of Clayton Kershaw until he can't throw a strike.
I think that was the problem this year. So do you think it is strictly a command thing for him? Or did you see throughout the season his stuff kind of tick down a little bit at all? Or do you think it was strictly just couldn't throw where he wanted to?
I think it was baseball getting to him. Like, I think it was because you look mechanically, like everything kind of still made sense. Like he ditched some of the athleticism in his delivery, but I mean, he still, if you watch his last outing of the 2021 season in Double A San Antonio, I mean, he looked like the most mechanically sound pitcher in minor league baseball, which is what he is. I don't know what throws him off here. Like, it could be some minute detail of his delivery that throws him off. It could also be that he was the number 1 pitching prospect in baseball, and then he had a slight blip in the radar, and that kind of threw him off course. It's like when a sports car runs into a rock, like you go flying for a little bit. I don't know. It's just like that finely tuned a pitcher. I'm telling you, I try and craft answers to pretty much everybody. Like, that's what we do. I just have no answers for what happened to him.
I think that's the problem, is I don't know if really anyone does, because I remember at the trade deadline, Mackenzie Gore's name was coming up in a lot of discussions, and it just seemed like teams didn't want to take the chance on Mackenzie Gore. So I'm throwing it back to you. When you're moving forward with Mackenzie Gore, what do you think?
I think he's got to be the 5 for the San Diego Padres. I think you got to get him starts at Petco Park, to be totally honest. And you have to see what you got now.
Yeah.
I don't think another year in minor league baseball is going to do it for him. Like, I don't think he's going to go figure shit out in El Paso. I think he's going to figure it out.
What do you think he's got?
I think he's got major league starter. I don't know if he's ace, but I think on his best day, you're looking at him like, yeah, that was the best pitching prospect in baseball. That's frontline starter right there. I think that's what he has. I think we're going to see 3 innings from Mackenzie Gore on a big league mound in the first month or 2 of the season for the Padres. And you're going to say, oh my God, this fastball, slider, changeup with the curveball as a 4th pitch, this is stupid. The world is his oyster. And then I think you might see an inning where he throws 30 pitches and 10 find the strike zone.
I agree with you. I just think there's no shot that they actually do it. Look at this rotation. Do you see the rotation that we just talked about? There are 7 freaking names in there. Who's Mackenzie Gore going to get starts instead of?
He's better than Paddock.
Okay.
Is better than, I think so. I think if Gore performs to the standard we are setting for him and we have previously set for him, that's the thing. The standard has changed here. Yeah. We expected Gore. Right. We expected Gore to come up 6 innings, 1 run. That was it. And now
we expected it's like all-star.
We expected like Cy Young candidate.
Yeah, like really freaking good.
God, I don't know. But, even this version of Mackenzie Gore, if he's on, I'm taking him before a Ryan Weathers that's on. I'm taking him before a Chris Paddock that's on. But the thing is,
you're smiling.
You're still the 5. You're still the 5, though. Because I'm not taking a rookie Mackenzie Gore, even if he's on, over Snell, Darvish, Musgrove, or Clevinger.
But you're taking him over Weathers at Mackenzie Gore's best, but we just haven't seen Mackenzie Gore's best, and we're already seeing a Ryan Weathers who at times looks unhittable. I don't see the merit for pushing Mackenzie Gore right ahead of Ryan Weathers. And if we're expecting a bounce back from Chris Paddock, I just think that he has to start in the minors, and he's got to prove his way to make this rotation. That's where I'm at with Mackenzie Gore.
God, he can't be a long reliever. Like, you cannot
put
him in a big league bullpen. No shot.
Him and Drew Pomeranz just chilling together, like hanging out, be like, what are you doing this weekend?
But the thing is, like, Weathers and Paddock, I think, could thrive in multi-inning relief roles for the Padres.
Maybe get Paddock just throwing as hard as he can for a couple innings and use him in that way. But then I feel like you're just kind of Weathers, you got to put in the rotation. The dude's a dog.
He's a dog. Yeah. God. But he also wasn't a dog at certain points last year.
Yeah.
Something to look at contractually. This is the last year of control for Musgrove and Clevinger. So they both hit the open market before the 2023 season. So I think that's why you have to get Gore up this year. See what you got. Otherwise, you got to dump somebody. Like, if San Diego is not performing to the standard that they set for themselves in 2022, you might have to think about shipping Joe Musgrove off at the deadline.
Wow.
To get something in return for him. Think about it. Like, this is your window here, because all of a sudden, Snell kind of sucked last year for a little bit. He bounced back beautifully.
Absolutely.
Darvish had outings where he sucked. Your most consistent pitcher was Joe Musgrove.
That's why, what, are you going to trade Musgrove?
At the deadline, if you're not in contention for the NL West, I think there's going to be
such a hard pill to swallow for Padres fans. Are you like, that's what you're going to do?
I'm saying
we're just not, that is such a tough move. But AJ Preller's a guy who makes tough moves. But that just seems, that's tough, Jack.
So it's really tough. But I need you to also consider that there is almost no farm here. Like, it's the top 3 or 4 guys, and that's it. We talk about AJ Preller as the guy that makes tough moves. He obliterated this system, like vaporized it.
Yeah, because you got a top 4 of CJ Abrams, who we both do really like. You have Luis Campusano, who is a very, very talented catching prospect, who's had a cup of coffee in the bigs, but hasn't shown his true potential yet. But we both like him. And Aram, the prospect guru, he really likes him too. So we're on Luis Campusano. Robert Hassel. I don't know much about Robert Hassel. I like him. He seems like a major leaguer. He seems like he's going to be a talented outfielder. And then you have Mackenzie Gore. So you have a lot of question marks in there. Why do you like Robert Hassel or don't like Robert Hassel?
I saw him for 20 games. He's really, really good. The hit tool is amazing. He runs like a wide receiver, and he hit 3 homers in a game in a high A. Like this guy, the defense is amazing. The jump he gets on balls is crazy. And when you ask him, like, what do you need to improve on? It's defense, because the bat is just so good already. And there are some outings, like I think there are going to be some high velocity guys that run it to his letters and he cuts and misses early in his career. But I also saw him go up and meet a neck high fastball and pump it 420 to dead center. Like he's got supreme, he's got a lot of juice in a tiny frame that's going to fill out. And his bat to ball is really, really strong. The swing is beautiful. So after those 4, after Gore, Camposano, Abrams, Hassel, there's a massive drop-off. Massive drop-off.
Preller sent them all away. Guys like Joey Cantillo and Blake Hunt's, Xavier Edwards. I mean, he sent Anderson
everybody. Espinosa's interesting. That's an interesting guy.
But could be legit.
Yeah, could be legit.
Maybe
I mean,
not.
he's 98. He was 98. Like 98.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about the bullpen for a sec, because this is the part of the San Diego Padres that drives me insane, because they have 9 guys where it's like, that's a name. But then you realize that they're like 4 or 5 ERA guys.
I mean, I actually praised AJ Preller's work for this bullpen because they signed a couple guys just to 1 year, not that much money, not over 10 million, just a lot of 1 year, 7 million guys. And I actually like that way of building a bullpen. And I think, I mean, you like Emilio Pagan, you like Drew Pomerantz, you like Tim Hill, Craig Stammen. I mean, they got Lamet as well.
You're putting words in my mouth right now.
What? Who out of those names do you not really like? Because
Stammen. Craig Stammen. So here's what we're looking at right now. We've got Pagan, who I like but don't love, and he's your closer right now with Melanson gone. Luis Garcia, they just signed a 2 years, 7. I like that deal. I really do.
Good move.
Austin Adams, the hit by pitch king. This guy hit 1 billion people last year. He cannot.
Sometimes he hits.
Shit.
Sometimes he hits some guys.
Drew Pomerantz is shelved to start the season, but he'll be back.
Yeah.
Craig Stammen, I don't like. Tim Hill threw 170 games in an 162 game season. Nabil Chrismat, I don't really like that much. Javi Guerra, I don't really like that much. That's like 8 guys. And then you got Reese Kinnear too, and Reggie Lawson, who could like throw some innings, but none of those guys get me off.
All right. You're not wrong. But I don't think it's that big of an issue. I think they have a good amount of depth. And then I think you could just throw a couple 1 year deals at the slew of free agent relievers that are still available.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to run through, like, again, on the iPad, I've got like 10 relievers.
Check us out on YouTube.
Yeah, true. I'm going to just throw like 10 relievers names out at you, and you give me a simple yes or no. Are they an improvement to the bullpen? Cool.
Fair.
Tepera.
Yes.
Chafin.
Yes.
Rich Rod.
No.
Fair. You've turned on Rich Rod.
Well,
yeah.
Oh God,
the Braves turned on
Rich Rod. The Braves turned on Rich Rod. I was loving what I was seeing with Pittsburgh, but you just didn't see that with the Braves. And this is a guy who doesn't have a ton of prior success either. So I'm like, all right, maybe that was just a flash in the pan, and I was a little bit wrong on him. So no, I would say Rich Rod is not an improvement to this bullpen, or really any bullpen that's a contender.
Brad Hand.
No,
I agree. No. Joe Kelly.
Yes. That's
Alex
crazy
Colomé.
that I just said that Joe Kelly is still an improvement in a bullpen and Brad Hand is not, but I believe it.
Joe Kelly throws 100.
I know. I mean, he does more than that, but he does throw 100.
Alex Colomé, is he an improvement?
Yes.
Steve Cishek.
Yeah.
Chaz Rowe.
Yeah. Yes.
Archie Bradley.
He kind of sucks sometimes.
Yeah, he does. does. Speaking of guys, Archie Bradley, like the thing that is etched into my brain is the triple that Archie Bradley hit.
Yeah, I mean,
the thing that I'm thinking about is, why doesn't San Diego go and fill their reliever hole while also filling their glaring corner outfield hole with Michael Lorenzen? But Lorenzen already signed with Anaheim. That would have been hilarious if they went and got Lorenzen for both. I do want to move on to the hitters in just a moment, but like, are there any guys here that I'm missing right now? Like any relievers that you would sign that I didn't mention, or trades for pitching?
Are you kidding me? Brad Boxberger could change a franchise.
Yeah, you're right.
No, but we already gave him to the Cardinals, which is an absolute perfect fit. So I'm going to say not Brad Boxberger. I love the idea of Chafin or Tepera. Okay. I'd say both. I'd say both on 1 years. Okay. There you go. Bang.
Fair.
I mean, those two are good relievers that add depth to this bullpen that, you make Ryan Tepera your closer. And Ryan Tepera is a good reliever.
Is Tepera a closer though?
No.
You see him closing out the NLCS?
No, but you know what I do see? I do see them playing the matchups because they have a lot of guys, and it seems like the closer role is just becoming less and less important because you'd rather just say, all right, who is our best reliever for these next three batters? That's what the Padres might have to do. Kind of like platooning like the Giants do or something. That they got to play the matchups because they don't have an absolute lockdown reliever. That's why losing Melancon kind of sucks.
I just had a Jimmy Neutron brain blast. I was thinking, you know what? What about Kenley Jansen to shut it down?
That would be such a Padres move, though.
That would be hilarious if they just brought him from LA to San Diego. God,
Kenley probably would. That would be a joke. It depends on the money. Because if you're like, all right, we'll give Kenley Jansen a 3-4 year deal, I'm like, all right, what are we actually doing here? But if you can get him on the low, I don't hate it. Kenley Jansen's cutter was actually moving last year, 95.
Are you going to get Kenley on the low, though?
Nah, probably not. That's the thing.
Like, he's going to sign him a late.
But he might.
Right?
with the Diamondbacks again, just for humor.
Didn't Melancon just sign like 2 years, 19 or something?
Yeah, with the Diamondbacks. And he's going to get traded mid-season, probably.
Right, because you've got another year of control of Mark Melancon.
Yeah.
The Padres, their payroll, they currently have $184 million committed out of 214. 214 is the luxury tax threshold. So they have $30 million of wiggle room. If they use it,
baseball.
Yeah, if they use it, remains to be seen.
Well, I have some trades to throw at you, and then I have some free agency signings on the offensive side that we could talk about. But should we talk about pitching a little bit more?
I think we're good with pitching. Let's move on to what they have now hitting wise, because I've got some free agents here too. Let's go catcher, infield, outfield, because I think that's least movement required to most movement required.
Okay.
Catcher, Austin Nola is going to come back from a thumb thing. Yeah. Good starter, like a platoon guy, I think.
Yeah, I think solid. Just like solid, probably like how I kind of think about Nola a little bit. If you're worse than Nola, you're a below average catcher. If you're better than Nola, you're an above average catcher. Kind of similar to shortstop. That's where I put Dansby Swanson in. If you're worse than Dansby, you're a below average shortstop. If you're above, you're kind of like WRC plus, except I have an actual player to put there.
Yeah, no, and that doesn't mean like he's a 0 WAR guy. Like,
no, not at all.
He's like a 1.5 WAR guy.
He's pretty good. He's decent. He's fine.
Right. You're not looking at the catcher position and saying like, we got to improve there.
Not at all, especially with Luis Campusano right behind him. I actually think and Victor Caratini and
say it.
They got Jorge Alfaro for no freaking reason at all. Why?
Yep.
Why?
Yep.
I don't know. They might play him in left. He's versatile.
What a joke.
What was that? And that's why I have two trades later that involve catchers that, because now that they have Jorge Alfaro, but besides even Jorge Alfaro, Victor Caratini is a viable backup catcher, and they have Nola. I think they're pretty square at catcher.
I think so too. So you're 4 deep at catcher right now with Nola. Campusano's the catcher of the future, and then you got Alfaro and Caratini. Both Alfaro and Caratini, even though Alfaro has like an 110% strikeout rate, he could be a DH. With the DH coming to the NL, like 4 deep at catcher is not the worst thing in the world.
You forget about Alfaro's speed.
Yeah, I forgot about Alfaro's speed. I actually forgot about Alfaro's talent for a minute, but thank you for reminding me. Infield.
I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast. He's just these guys are such dickheads.
I don't think he does. And if he does, I'll absolutely wear it. If Jorge Alfaro wants to call me and tell me to go fuck myself, I will wear that.
Jorge, we didn't forget about your speed. You're like 75th in sprint speed, I guess. I mean, that's good. It is.
Good for you, man. All right, let's talk about the infield because you have this massive blackhead that's just right on your right cheek at first base with Eric Hosmer. $21 million owed to him in 2022. And then I think he's got player options for the next 3 years at $13 million each.
Yeah.
That's a terrible contract.
Eric Hosmer's more than a blackhead on your face. He's like a cyst on your ass. I mean, he's a thorn in the side of the San Diego Padres. The dude just grounds out every single time. And, the debate of Fernando Tatis and the errors and stuff. I mean, you turn on a Padres game, there's a lot of throws that Eric Hosmer could have dug out of that dirt that Fernando Tatis Jr. threw over there. I'm not going to blame it all on him, but it's certainly not all on Tatis. He's not the same defender that he was. The power is virtually gone. He's not an on-base threat. He's a good locker room guy, and I think that's why the Padres are keeping him in there. He seems to be kind of, a bit of glue within that locker room, but I think there are plenty of free agent first basemen that if you could figure out a way to trade Hosmer out of there, you can replace it with a clubhouse guy and just a much better overall player than Eric Hosmer.
Yeah, and you're going to lose some leadership here. I mean, Eric Hosmer has won a World Series. He was one of the key members of the Royals when they won the World Series. There was a reason he got a deal north of $100 million when he did.
Yes. No, I mean, it's still at the time, just still questionable. Like, it's at the time, I still thought it was an overpay. You thought it was a good deal when that happened?
No, I don't think
anyone did.
I thought that was what he was going to command. I thought, the team that bites the bullet on this is getting a raw deal here. And then
it's usually like the Angels or something. But it was the Padres this time.
Right. Like it's usually the Hamilton or Pujols type thing where it's like, you know what? Like, I guess that's what you got to pay him, but I wouldn't have done it. Right. It's the Javi Baez thing this year. Like, I guess he should have made that, but I wasn't going to do it.
Yes.
That was the Hosmer dilemma. Infield aside from first base is like the best 3/4 of an infield in baseball with Cronenworth at second.
Fucking awesome.
Tatis at short, Machado at third.
Yeah. I mean, you got a top 5 second baseman, no doubt, and a guy who can move across the infield. He can even play first base. He played plenty of first base last year. You got the best shortstop in baseball and arguably top 3, no debate about it, top 5 third baseman as well.
Right. So like this year, I don't think we're shocked if we're sitting here when the All-Star starters are announced and it's Cronenworth at second, Tatis at short, Machado at third.
Wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, this is one of the best infields in baseball if we subtract a Thorn at first.
Yes, correct. And then you got Ha-Seong Kim as the middle infielder, the third middle infielder.
Oh,
can't hit.
I picked him as a dark horse rookie of the year candidate.
I know you did.
And I was like, you know what? If I had Ha-Seong Kim's at bats, like I could be, I feel like I could do at least half as well as he did. That's a complete joke because I would not. If you gave me 600 plate appearances, could I get one hit? I bet I'd luck into one, but I bet I could get one or maybe two. Well, I'd set the over under at 1.5.
Listen, when I run into Jake Arrieta pitching for Oakland later this year, I'm hitting a double.
He does look like a men's league pitcher.
A little bit, just a little bit.
But going back to the serious conversation about Ha-Seong Kim, are you just going to keep giving him at bats?
What's your other option? Go get somebody?
Tony Kemp.
No, you're right.
No, Ha-Seong Kim. Yeah, I mean, you just got to roll with him. He's a fourth infielder. And yeah, you got to sign somebody to help him out on the bench. Because you also have Profar who plays a lot of outfield, but I mean, I would just try and give Profar as many at bats as possible over Ha-Seong Kim.
But Profar's not good anymore. We know this.
I'm trying here. What do you want from me?
I know you're trying.
He's not terrible.
I know you're trying. Here's the thing. Here's where San Diego has not tried recently, and they have to try once this lockout ends. The outfield right now, you got Trent Grisham in center. And then they got to figure this shit out because as of right now, if you were putting together an opening day lineup for the San Diego Padres, it would probably feature Jurickson Profar in left field and Will Myers in right field.
Yeah, Will Myers is making like $20 million doing freaking nothing.
And Profar isn't doing anything anymore.
You know who the Padres should go get? Jed Lowry.
I hear you.
Jed Lowry. Do you know how many bets Jed Lowry won when going with the A's? This dude is
7?
clutch as shit. Yeah, he's 38, but he's still a good player. I'd throw a little contract at Jed Lowry.
Interesting. Who else are you looking at in the infield? Because they wouldn't hurt from signing like a middle infielder or a third baseman. Should I throw Adrianza out there again?
You might laugh. I mean, you should laugh, but you shouldn't. Ronald Torreyes is a guy who's a free agent currently, and he adds a lot of versatility in the infield. He's a spark plug. He's fun. He's just a better version of Ha-Seong Kim. I would consider Ronald Torreyes and I would consider Jed Lowry as guys who can play all over the infield and provide a little bit of a burst.
I don't hate it whatsoever. My eyes immediately went to the corner outfield spots.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right. If you're going to try and fill it by free agency, I'll start small and get bigger.
Yes.
Fair.
Okay. And then I was going to say, I think in the infield, you can sign some depth. In the outfield is where you go big. And I have two names at the top of my head. Yeah, exactly. So go ahead.
So the two small guys that I want to throw out there that can be fourth outfielders / one of them can maybe fill in the infield every now and again. Tim LeCastro just got non-tendered by Boston. That's some serious speed. I know he's got some problems, but like I would take a flyer on Tim LeCastro.
I guess.
Auburn, New York native, Tim LeCastro.
Yeah.
Fastest guy in baseball.
Trey Turner's the fastest guy in baseball, but Tim LeCastro is probably 2. Yeah, I mean, or Buxton when he gets on a freaking heater. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, I guess, for some depth. Yeah.
So, like, I was kind of
have
pissed.
Speed. I mean, they have like the way better version of Tim LeCastro sitting in the minor leagues. His name is CJ Abrams. I mean, it's just embarrassing to even compare them because CJ Abrams is probably going to be a multiple-time All-Star. But I'm saying that if you just need the speed, because he doesn't really do anything besides get hit by pitches. He set a record for hit by pitches. So,
boom,
on base machine.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, you got speed. I mean, you got speed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think they like blew the rest of Major League Baseball out of the water in the stolen base department.
Yeah.
And they also let Jorge Mateo walk, who's one of the fastest guys in baseball.
True.
That would be a guy that might fill in like around the infield and in the corner outfield spots. Like I think they're kind of kicking themselves that they don't have Mateo right now, but he's not going to win you a World Series. Billy McKinney, another like very small name that I would think about, but like, I don't really want that. Let's get bigger now. Eddie Rosario, I think, is a guy that can be the left fielder for the San Diego Padres.
Don't hate that. I just, knowing the Padres, just this has no statistical basis behind it. It's just like my feeling of how baseball sometimes works. Don't you kind of feel if the San Diego Padres sign Eddie Rosario to a multi-year deal, Eddie Rosario will go ahead and suck?
Yes.
So it has no actual reasoning behind it. It's just me watching baseball for so long and just seeing sometimes how these contracts end up. That's where I'm at there.
No, it's fair. But like, if you saw that the Padres signed Eddie Rosario to 2 years, $12 million.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, but I don't think that's not the contract that Eddie Rosario is going to get. I was thinking like 2 years, 12. That's
what do you think he's going to get?
Andrew Heaney just got $8.5 million.
So what's Rosario going to get? 2 years, 20?
I was thinking 2 years, like 2 years, 20, maybe even 2 years, 22, something like that.
Okay, so two years for 20. You still think Rosario is just going to like drastically underperform that contract?
Only with the Padres.
Yeah. Right. Like if he signs that with
just
Cleveland,
doesn't make
it's like,
that
oh shit.
Yeah, it's like he's going to be great or something.
Right.
Or if he went to another, the old veterans who are just coming off a really good 2021, like some sort of campaign, whether it be the playoffs or the regular season, then going to the Padres for a big multi-year deal feels like a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, another name. Go big. Michael Conforto.
Love that. I mean, I love that signing. I think Michael Conforto is going to have a huge year. And I think going, from New York to California, big reset. I like that. I actually like Michael Conforto for your White Sox a little bit more. But I like Michael Conforto of the Padres. I just really like Michael Conforto in 2022. I think the swing plays. I think he's going to have a big bounce back year. I mean, this is a guy who was one of the best college hitters in recent memory. I mean, he was phenomenal in college. And in the major leagues, he's been great too, but just a bad 2021. But then again, that whole Mets team on offense all had down years. I don't think that's some sort of coincidence. I think some of those players leaving will be good, and Michael Conforto is at the top of that list.
Yeah. Throw me your stuff.
So, I mean, I think the Padres are in a situation where they should make a leap at Seiya Suzuki. I think Seiya Suzuki could be the player to put them over the top if he is that electric guy that I think that we're expecting that he will be. Seiya Suzuki is a guy coming over. I don't think that he's going to command a ton of money. And you said with the payroll, I think Nick Castellanos might be a little bit out of their price range when we're talking where their payroll sits. And Seiya Suzuki feels like that perfect player that makes sense with the money and could be that X factor that puts them over the top.
Okay, so we said that they have $30 million of wiggle room right now. Their total payroll in 2022 at the moment is 184. The luxury tax threshold is 214. So that gives you 30 million bucks. I don't think Castellanos is making 30 annually. I think he's making 20 annually.
I agree. This is why I think Seiya Suzuki, and this is kind of reports, like if we're looking at a 4-year, maybe $48 million deal, so you give him 12, you give Lowry, a couple million, you give Ronald Torreyes a couple million, you give a couple of these closers, not closers, but like Ryan Tepera, Andrew Chafin, those relievers, 7 to 10 million, then that all works out. You could actually do all of those. And I have a couple trades that if they're to send away Eric Hosmer, not pay him some of that money anymore, you have some room to work with. And Seiya Suzuki, although at least from watching and looking at his stats, he doesn't seem like an incredible defender. He seems like a better defender than Nick Castellanos. And I think you could use some defense out there in that outfield.
You could use some defense. Castellanos would be a liability. I like Suzuki. I do. And it keeps him on the West Coast. We know that, when the guys come over from Nippon Professional Baseball, they actually prefer to stay on the West Coast. Kind of the outlier was Masahiro Tanaka when he came over. He went to New York. But that is another coastal place. Like Darvish is the only guy that's been to the middle. Darvish and Kohei Arihara. So usually you see like Ohtani wanted to be on the West Coast. He was down to Anaheim and Seattle, I want to say, were his final two. Obviously, Ichiro, when he came over, it was Seattle. I think San Diego would be a good fit for Suzuki. I do like the fit in the corner outfield. I do. And I think that you could play the addition game instead of give and take. Because with Castellanos, if you sign him for 20 annually, that pumps you up against the luxury tax. So you got to be okay with not making any moves in the bullpen. Yeah. With Suzuki, you're right. Like you can build up.
And I could see Seiya Suzuki having a very good offensive season because Nick Castellanos, he really was great in 2021, but he played a Great American Ballpark, which is really easy to hit at. And now he goes to Petco, which is not, and now he's facing tougher pitching competition in the NL West.
But you do agree that Seiya Suzuki is an exponentially higher risk reward outcome than Castellanos.
I agree. I do agree. But for the money, I think it's worth it. And I think the Padres are at this point now where they got to go big or go home. And I don't think that you go extra big on Nick Castellanos. I think your version of going big or go home is getting Seiya Suzuki, getting a couple bullpen guys, getting some depth bench bats, and making a one of the two trades that I have recommended for them.
Start with trade number one.
Trade number one is getting Eric Hosmer the hell out of there. I think the Red Sox could possibly be a team that would be willing to take on Eric Hosmer at $13 million. Maybe not all of it. There obviously have to be some workaround when it comes to the money, but these are the players I have involved in a deal for Eric Hosmer over to the Red Sox. The Red Sox, remember, no Christian Vasquez is still a decent catcher, but he's getting up there in age a little bit. You can get your catcher of the future, Luis Campusano, package him, and so you'd get Eric Hosmer and Luis Campusano, but the Padres would then get Jeter Downs. Now, is that a little bit of a L for the Padres, considering you're giving up? In my opinion, I think Luis Campusano is a better overall prospect than Jeter Downs. Yes, but Jeter Downs actually makes a ton of sense on this Padres roster. He's going to be MLB ready, I think, in 2021. Would you agree?
Yes. 2022.
2022. Jeter Downs is a guy who can play a little bit of shortstop. He can play a little bit of second base. I bet you can move him around to third base if needed. And I bet he can play a corner outfield spot. He seems like he has a little bit of versatility. I like the bat. He makes sense within this Padres team. You're giving up on Luis Campusano. Not really giving up. You're cashing in kind of. You're getting rid of Eric Hosmer. But the Padres do have this overflow of catchers at the moment. It does kind of make sense for me to get Eric Hosmer out of there. So then you lose a lot of that money. And then you go in and bring in Anthony Rizzo, which is just the better version of Eric Hosmer and would still give you that locker room presence that you need. So you put Anthony Rizzo at first, you trade away, because Rizzo's not going to be crazy expensive.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be that much more than what you'd be paying Eric Hosmer right now.
Right.
You know, on an annual basis. That's the first trade I have. And
he's already a massive upgrade to Rizzo over Hosmer.
Yeah.
We were talking about this before we started recording. You threw me these two trades, and you know what my main takeaway is that the Padres have to take the loss in the trade. They have to lose the trade in order to get Hosmer's salary off the payroll.
Yeah.
So we are really just playing like, how big are you losing the trade right now? Like, how badly are you screwing up? And I think in the Padres' dilemma, with their window actually being a lot tighter than I think people are acknowledging, with Musgrove and Clevinger coming off the books after this year, and then I think Darvish shortly thereafter. I don't really see a world where Campusano is a better option than the platoon of Nola and Caratini. Yes.
Really?
2 years down the road? Yes. But
yeah.
Like rookie Luis Campusano, I don't think he's that much of an upgrade over Nola and Caratini. I don't.
Agreed. I think he's somewhat expendable.
Yes, as opposed to the other three guys, Gore, Hassel, Abrams, I think Campusano is actually the most expendable just because of what you have at the catching position right now. Now, are they kicking themselves because they've let good catching prospects walk recently? To Tampa. Francisco Mejia went to Tampa, and then Blake Hunt also went to Tampa.
But in their defense, no one could really solve Francisco Mejia except the Tampa Bay Rays.
Right. So there's that thing. Also, like, Mejia is the unsung like gem of the Tampa Bay Rays right now. Like, I feel like we're going to be talking about Mejia in 2022, 2023 is like, wow, like they fleeced them for this guy. I like it.
Here's the next one.
Yeah.
All right, this one's a little tougher to swallow if you're a Padres fan, but hear me out. CJ Abrams, the Padres' best prospect, and Eric Hosmer are heading to Atlanta. And the Padres get back Drew Waters, the Braves' current second best outfield prospect after Christian Pache. You could make the argument that maybe you'd rather have Drew Waters than Christian Pache. That's a very hot take if you're a Braves fan listening to this, but you know, I'm not the biggest Christian Pache fan. I don't really know how his hitting is going to translate, but I do like Drew Waters. And if we're talking about the Padres needing outfielders, Drew Waters is a guy who is MLB ready now, and you could probably put in a corner outfield opening day, and I think he'd be a pretty solid player. You know, you're giving up on CJ Abrams, and the Braves would be doing this only in the scenario that they don't sign Freddie Freeman.
Right.
You know, they would need a first baseman. You get the, I say lottery ticket as if it's a bad thing. I'm calling CJ Abrams a lottery ticket. I think he's going to be phenomenal. And I'm saying you get the idea of, wow, this could be the starting shortstop moving forward if you're ready to move on from Dansby Swanson. And then, you pay Eric Hosmer a little bit.
Okay.
The way it is.
So here's why I'm not doing that if I'm AJ Preller. And we know in the AJ regime, like nobody's untouchable. Like he can do whatever the hell he wants because he's AJ Preller. He's the J.R. Smith of baseball. I look at these prospects and Mackenzie Gore right now. Mackenzie Gore at the beginning of the 2020 season, like if you looked at him and said, what's your ceiling? It's multiple Cy Youngs. Now I look at it like, what's Mackenzie Gore's ceiling? All-star starter. I look at Robert Hassel. What's Hassel's ceiling? All-star center fielder. And then I look at CJ Abrams and I say, okay, what's your ceiling? Multiple MVPs.
Yeah.
I can't move that guy. Like that would be a dagger to the heart if I moved that guy and he ended up being Tatis.
Do you think Drew Waters could be an all-star?
Fringe. Like I think you're getting a high floor, good prospect outfielder from Atlanta in that deal, and you're shedding the contract that you need to shed. I just couldn't sleep at night knowing that I gave up a guy that can win multiple MVPs.
You're not wrong. Just something to throw out there. I like the first trade better. I also think it just makes sense for the Red Sox. I mean, the Red Sox need a first baseman. The other one, I was just kind of thinking, I'm just still thinking about the fact that if the Braves don't re-sign Freddie Freeman, I mean, what are they doing? But what are they doing? I guess they could be interested in this possible trade. I agree. You probably need more than Drew Waters. I guess that just goes to show what I think about Eric Hosmer.
Yeah, no, he's like damaged goods right now. He's an anvil. If you want to make a trade, like he is impossible to shed unless you drastically lose a trade. And I think that AJ Preller is content losing Campusano for a third middle infielder. I think Jeter Downs is immediately getting more plate appearances than Ha-Sung Kim.
Immediately.
But I don't know. Like I just couldn't sleep at night knowing that I let CJ Abrams walk away in a salary dump trade.
I think it's fair. So we're not going to do that one. We're not going to do that one.
We're not going to do it.
But this is the team now.
We had discussion.
This is the team now. So should we recap what we just did?
Yeah.
Let's recap what we just did. So in the starting rotation, we're not really touching it.
Not.
But you're giving Mackenzie Gore ample opportunities. Like, for example, April or March 31st or April 1st is opening day. Like April 5th, the 5th spot comes up in the rotation. Is that Mackenzie Gore's turn?
No, I think 3 rotations through. I think third time you go through the rotation. I think first time it should be Paddock if healthy. I think second time it should be Weathers. And I think third time it should be Mackenzie Gore.
Just start having tryouts.
Yeah, just see which one sticks. That's what spring training's for, but we're not going to get fucking spring training because of the lockout.
Can you imagine an ultimatum? You all get one start. Whoever has the best start is the 5th starter.
It's the Hunger Games. That's how I would manage.
Sick. All right, the bullpen. Let's just give Ryan Tepera, $8 million. Why not?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Are you getting any other of these relievers? Maybe
let's say Chaz Rowe.
All right, we're adding Chaz Rowe and we're adding Ryan Tepera to this bullpen. That's a pretty solid bullpen, I think, after that.
It's fine.
Pretty good.
It's not like near best in baseball, but it's not terrible.
It's better than 14. The Magic.
Yeah, it's 9.
It's 9. We're putting them in the top 10. And then the offense, I think that they should sign Seiya Suzuki. You put him in the outfield. You trade Luis Campusano and Eric Hosmer. You get Jeter Downs, and then you sign Anthony Rizzo. Or you don't sign Anthony Rizzo at all. You start Jeter Downs at second base, and you put Jake Cronenworth at first base, and your infield is Crone, Downs, Tatis, Machado, Nola. Then you have Seiya, Trent Grisham,
Will Myers. You're probably going to eat one of those.
I guess you're just going to eat. Will Myers is just going to be a San Diego Padre this year, and that's okay. He wasn't terrible. Yeah, he's not a hole like Eric Hosmer is. He's right. Fine. He's good. He's a good 7 hitter, 6 hitter.
Correct. He's an average 6 hitter.
He's an average. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna see where you were gonna go with that. And I was just gonna refute.
Yeah.
I like it. I think if you don't get Suzuki, I think go make a run at Conforto.
I agree. I think that this is a good team. I do. If they come out with a 94.5 win projection like last year, will I still bet the under? Yeah, probably.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
could I see 91 wins, 92 wins from the roster that we just developed in a wild card berth? And I mean, the question is, are they going to be better than the Giants this year?
I think on paper, yes. Once we talk again in September, the answer is no, because that's what the Giants do. Now, I ask you this question. If they make 0 changes, if there is no notable transaction made by the San Diego Padres, are they a playoff team this year?
I think
Clevinger back.
I think they're one of the hardest rosters to evaluate because on paper, I mean, you'd be stupid to say no, but they have so many question marks. Like, what are you going to get from Yu Darvish this year? What are you going to get from Blake Snell this year? What are you going to get from Mike Clevinger this year? What are you going to get from a lot of guys? I hope Nola stays healthy all year. There's a lot of what ifs, but if the what ifs become what we think could happen, this team could win the World Series.
I think there are 3 guys that aren't question marks. We know what we're going to get from them this year.
And they're all in the infield.
Tatis, Machado, Cronenworth. That's it.
Yep. I'm excited for the Padres though moving forward. I am.
Yeah, me too. To be honest, like their future is now. Like enjoy it while it happens right now. Enjoy the fanfare right now, Padres fans, because like your farm is non-existent. AJ Preller did that to you.
We have a very special announcement as well.
Yeah, rip it.
Nestor Cortez will be interviewed on the Just Baseball show, and that will be coming out on Wednesday's show. We're very excited to bring you the conversation with possibly the greatest pitcher of our generation, Nestor Cortez, at least one of the most exciting, the mustache. I cannot wait to talk to Nestor.
Yeah, that was Arum's guy being the South Florida thing, and then he just so happens to pitch for your squad. So I think you guys are both going to geek out. Arum for different reasons, and then you obviously because he has turned into, I mean, like a cult hero. I guess. What's his thing?
Good. Like he is. Besides being the cult hero, he's actually going to be in the rotation, and he's going to be solid in the rotation. He proved that he reminds me a lot of Johnny Cueto. That's a very similar vibe. I know it's similar in the sense of the leg kick and the mixing up the way he throws the baseball, but no stuff alone too. He just gets outs and he's exciting to watch every 5th day.
He is. He's really fun. He's like if Johnny Cueto met Bartolo Colon.
In a way. Yeah, that's the kind of vibe. Both good pitchers.
Yeah, I'm really excited to listen to you and Arum talk to Nestor Cortez. That's going to be awesome. And we are going to rehash a little bit later this week with Javier Reyes, the resident meme expert at Just Baseball, because he is also the host of Locked On Padres. So we're going to talk about what he's seeing in the inside circles. We're going to run Jeter Downs by him. We're going to run should we run Drew Waters by him? I don't know. But
that was just like, I like Drew Waters. I like, that was kind of out of left field a little bit. More me thinking about Freddie.
No, but we're also going to run Suzuki and Conforto by him too, and we'll talk about that. But Nestor, the star of the show tomorrow. Pete?
Thank you, everybody.